I know that it's incredibly important for me to live in the present. I, like so many of you, have a great deal of difficulty letting go of the abuses that were inflicted upon us, both physical and mental, emotional, and sometimes sexually. But it's also important for me to be able to purge or discuss some of the abuses that I personally experienced at the hands of my abuser. I remember, as long as I can remember, being a small child and out of nowhere, out of what seemed a calm moment, being slapped hard across my face. I remember sometimes being knocked out of the kitchen chair. Again, coming out of nowhere. I remember a number of times of being slapped that followed with hair pulling and the most horrible names that one could be called, much less any child. This has gone on in my childhood almost every day. But it graduated and progressed. I remember clearly staying in my room alone before my brother was born, and always wondering when the silence was going to be broken, when the other shoe was going to drop, and that accordion door that separated my bedroom from the living room would be flung open in a rage, and I would just be wailed upon, slapped and hit, all along being told how worthless I was and being called horrific names. That went on all during my young childhood. It certainly graduated to much deeper and more intense physical abuse. In my early teens, heck, even 11 or 12 years old, before I even became a teenager, I remember vividly the closet that housed the belt. It was a large, very wide, black leather belt with a very big, it was gold buckle on it. And so many times, out of the clear blue, my abuser would open that closet door, grab that belt, and I would run. And I was beaten with that belt. Any open spot that I could not cover myself with was used by that belt. Again, all along, being called horrible names and told what a piece of garbage I was. I won't use profanity. After a while, years, I became immune to the belt. And I would just stand there. I would no longer run. After a while after that, I would stand almost at attention while I was being beaten. I somehow learned not to show any emotion. I somehow, at that stage of my life, and I remember this so clearly, knew that it was my pain and my suffering and my crying and my pleading and my begging that made the narcissist happy. I remember standing almost at attention while being beat and smiling, no longer allowing the narcissist to feed off of my pain. The belt was then switched with the buckle out. I remember to this day being beaten with not only the belt, but its buckle. And again, I stood there, not allowing the narcissist to reap any benefits of my pain and suffering. At age 15, I left that house. I lived in my friend's basement for 2 years. At age 16, I went downtown by myself and got working papers to work at Burger King. At age 17, I joined the service. The very day I turned 17 years old. We both know the emotional toll that the narcissist inflicts upon us. But there are a great many of us also who endured narcissistic rage. There are so many of us that suffered, cried, screamed, begged for forgiveness, even when we didn't do anything to be forgiven for, just to make the physical abuse stop. If you are below the legal adult age where you live and somebody is beating you, somebody is somehow hurting you, somebody is putting their hands on you, if somebody is in any way hurting or abusing you, please know this. You're a child. You do not deserve that. You've done nothing. I don't care what mistake you've made. You've done nothing to deserve that. And I want you to find somebody safe to talk to about. Perhaps it's someone at school, a teacher, a guidance counselor. Perhaps it's a close personal friend of the family. Somebody you can trust. Perhaps it's the parents of a friend. Someone who you feel comfortable with. Look, I know that a lot of us, specifically from my childhood era in the early 60s, have been abused, have been physically punished. I get that. I know it was a different time back then. But this is different. This is beaten by a person whilst being torn down, being degraded, being told how worthless you are. This is narcissistic abuse at its finest. I hope you don't mind me sharing. I needed to do this today. Thank you, and wish you peace.